things in trucking sure have turned around in 2022. And getting a lot of questions, hey, I think I want to put my authority on hold. I want to close down my authority altogether. So what are the steps I need to take to do that? Now, if you ran out and got your own authority, you have some things here that you have to take care of. Please don't just walk away and say, I'm done. Or you could end up getting, a few years from now, in the mail, a nice little letter from somebody saying you owe them $75,000. It happened to a good friend of mine. So definitely, if you're going to close your authority down, take these steps to avoid those big fines. So we've gotten questions all the way from, how do I pause my authority, or just set it aside for a few months? I want to park my truck while this thing kind of sorts itself out, or I just want to be done altogether. So first, let's talk about, if you just want to park your truck for a few months and hope that fuel prices come down, what are some things you can do to save yourself some money meanwhile, while maybe you want to go drive somebody else's truck? So let's talk about that first. So if you want to just park your truck for a few months and have your authority stay active, so that one, it doesn't look like you were in and out of business, or two, you want to be able to jump back in quickly without having to wait. A couple simple things you can do. Number one, well, it's all about insurance. So you're not going to be hauling freight with the truck or the trailer. I assume they're both going to be sitting. So you could drop temporarily your cargo insurance. You don't have to have it for your authority to stay active. What you have to have for your authority to stay active is primary liability, or also called auto. The $750,000 minimum, most people have $1 million. That is the minimum you have to have for your authority to stay active. Your BOC3 will still be there. You don't have to worry about that. You could drop your general liability. If you're not moving, you're not conducting business, you don't have to have that. And the third thing is kind of subjective. Do you owe money on the equipment? If you have a loan on the truck or trailer, that bank will not allow you to reduce or drop that insurance. If your equipment is paid for and you want to scale that back for a little while, I wouldn't necessarily drop it all together, because you could still have a fire or something happen to the vehicle. But if you have super high premiums, maybe you want to reduce that for a little while. Talk to your agent about that, see what makes sense for you. But really, to just kind of let your authority sit for a while and stay active, all the other things that go with having your own authority, you really want to keep them, because if you drop some of them, it could put you into non-compliance and subject to different penalties. So that's kind of the minimum right there. Now let's talk about, if you want to shut down your authority altogether, what do you do to keep from getting a fine later? Here's what I would do first. Go to the same FMCSA website where you filed to get your authority in the first place, and you can put in your PIN number. Do this right online. Is file an OCE 46. That is a request for revocation of granted authority. And you'll fill that out. They want it notarized, and you can send it back. And what that will do, you tell them the reason why, and that will be a voluntary revocation of your authority. If you don't do this and you just walk away and ignore it, you're going to get an involuntary revocation of authority. Once they see that you've canceled your insurance or the BOC3, the things that you no longer meet the requirements to have an authority, they're going to revoke it, and they're going to make a record that it was an involuntary, which is not necessarily the end of the world, but a voluntary looks a whole lot better than an involuntary. And should you go to restart your authority again, it'll be a little bit easier for you. Now, should you decide to reinstate your authority later on, the form you want to do in the same fashion, and you'll pay a fee, is MCSA 5889. That's a form to file for reinstatement of your operating authority. So I would do this first before I canceled my insurance, just to do it properly. Now let's move on to the other things that you need to do in addition to these. Or let's talk about the different things, what will happen with each in no particular order. The BOC3, you don't need to do anything with that. That will always be there. If you chose to come back and activate your authority later, your BOC3 is still going to be there, unless the company you paid had an annual renewal fee and you didn't pay that. I don't suggest paying every year for your BOC3. There's plenty of companies out there, you pay it once and it's good forever. MCS 150, if you go to the website where you filed for your own authority, do an MCS 150 update and check the box. I think it says out of business notification, I think is the official wording that they use. Check that box, file an updated MCS 150. UCR, you don't really need to do anything with your UCR other than don't renew it when it comes due. Drug testing consortium, you're going to want to withdraw from your drug testing consortium. Let them know that you're discontinuing operations. Tell them the reason why is because you're discontinuing operations so that it doesn't look like you just don't have one anymore. $22.90 highway use tax that you paid $550 for the year is refundable, a portion of it. I have different videos, 3 different videos on 2290s. Find the one that covers getting a refund. File for that. If you only use the truck for, that is if you're taking the truck off the road. If you're discontinuing your authority, but you're going to go lease that truck on somewhere else, you can still use that same $22.90 and not have to pay again. You just won't get the refund. Okay, here's some important ones. These are the ones that are going to keep you from getting a fine, okay? IRP and IFTA come from your home state. You're going to want to cancel your IRP account with your state. Big one. Make sure you cancel your IFTA. Now, you're going to have to file final returns on this. So if you quit in January, you're going to have to wait till the end of the quarter is March. You file that return, and on that return, you select final return or ending operations, whatever your state may call it. This is a very important one. IFTA, these people will catch you. It might be 5 years from now, it might be 10 years from now, but you will hear from them and they will fine you. That's where they got a friend of mine. Okay, and then when you filed for these permits, you probably got New Mexico, New York, Kentucky, and Oregon. You can't just walk away from these. You have to, at the end of the quarter again, you're going to file your final returns. Now each of them will have different wording. When you file the return, they might say, is this your final return? Are you ceasing operations? Are you ending operations? You want to check those boxes to let them know that you're done, okay? Because if you just don't file, they're going to come after you. You're going to hear from them. And then certain ones here, Kentucky, well, if you cancel your Kentucky, they'll take it off your taxable inventory. But Oregon here, go in there and unenroll your vehicle. So that if you go to a new company or if you sell your truck and it goes to a new buyer, the new buyer won't have so much trouble registering it in Oregon. They're going to say, that truck is already registered under another carrier. Well, if you go in there and unenroll it, it's kind of a courtesy to the next company or to the company you're going to lease onto, and will make it easier for them to enroll your vehicle. And then don't forget, obviously you want to go in and cancel your insurance. Whatever trucking insurance you took out, if you're keeping the truck, keeping the trailer, make sure you keep enough to not get your finance company on your back about dropping the insurance. Or if you're just taking the truck and trailer to a new carrier, make sure it's insured with the new carrier before you cancel this one. If you park your truck and just say, done, I'm walking away, I'm going to let them repo it, probably be a good idea to keep at least physical damage on that vehicle until they come and take it, or until such time as you sell it, if you have financing on the vehicle. Otherwise, the bank is going to go get their financing. It's going to be way more expensive and they're going to charge you back for it. So as you can see, there's really not too much to closing your authority. Just make sure you do it and complete the steps so that you don't have problems later. If you are closing your authority, I wish you all the best. And just because you close it, like I said, you do a voluntary surrender of it, it's really easy to open it next time. And if you file for closing all these permits, when you go to reopen them later, they're like, yeah, here you go. Here's your new permits. If you don't, you kind of screw them. You're going to have a problem getting new permits next time. So everybody, take care. Check out the videos on the screen now, and check out my playlist. We got a lot more videos in the Business of Trucking playlist for you to check out, especially if you have your own authority. Hit the like button, subscribe, and we will see you next time.